Good afternoon. I'm Dr. James Smith Jr. and welcome to the Dr. James Show. If it's your first time, thank you for joining us. If it's your second, third, fourth, or fifth time, thank you for coming back for what promises to be another informational and transformational show. If I'm looking giddy or ecstatic or excited, it's because I am. I'm feeling 14, 15, 16 all over again because our guest today is a former basketball coach, big time at Penn State. As I was considering talking to Coach Pat Chambers today, I went back to my high school days, started thinking about my former high school basketball coach, Steve Kane, because they have a lot in common. And started thinking about the lessons I received, the role, the impact that Coach King played in my life, because my parents were divorced when I was young, and I really connected with a lot of the coaches in my life. And I trust that Pat Chambers has had that same impact on others. But we'll begin to talk about Coach's impact. But before we do, I'm going to take you into a press conference. Penn State has just beaten Purdue. Unprecedented, because when you think of Penn State, you think of football. But Coach Chambers helped turn the football academy into both a football and basketball university. Let's take a look at the press conference. Coach Patrick Chambers.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. Just two quick notes. The 7th straight win for Penn State is the longest in program history, which continues the streak of Big Ten wins, 7 straight wins. Also, this is our 4th straight road win, which is the most in program history. So with that, I'll let Coach Chambers begin with an opening statement, then we'll take your questions. If you would, please raise your hand. There's microphones to be passed around. Thank you.
Purdue's been playing great basketball. Watching them over the last week or so, they've been really drooling teams, playing really well, shooting well, especially in this arena. It's just an incredible home atmosphere. The fans are just on top of you. It's taken me a long time, 9 years to finally get a win here. That's a long time. Give the fans credit. And obviously Matt Painter does a great job with his guys. We made shots today. I thought our defense was pretty good. You know, when we needed stops, we got some stops. I thought we rebounded the ball as well as we can. I know they got 10, but anything less than 10 for Williams and Harms and Eastern, I think it's what you need to do if they're not making threes. So again, I thought our guys were dialed into the game plan. Again, we made some shots, but we kept it together in the second half when things are starting to slip, and that's a sign of a really good team.
Wow. Coach Patrick Chambers, welcome to the Dr. James Show. You're looking like a movie star when they do the next movie on college basketball. Lenny the coach, look at you. Welcome.
James, thanks for having me on, buddy. Man, that clip, I just got chills down the back. What a great memory. What a great team. I'm so grateful to have those experiences.
Coach, what was that like? I mean, big stage, after the game, Big Ten, you beat the Boilermakers in other schools that year, but with that spotlight on you like that, the TV on you, the university brand is out there. What were those moments like, those press conferences like?
Yeah, they're very challenging. Let me take you, so you're in a game, you win an emotional game. All right, I'm going to take you inside my suit, okay? Emotional game. And you've just beat Purdue, which you haven't done in a long, long time, decades maybe. One of the best home court arenas in the Big Ten. And we're rolling a little bit. We got a really great team led by Lamar Stevens. So you play the game, they're coming back, you have to make free throws. So just imagine that, all right? It's going back and forth. You need to make one more free throw. You need to, hope they miss one more time, or we get a stop and a rebound. I can feel myself getting all excited here because that's what it is, and that's what it is for the players. And then you go back in that locker room and you're so overwhelmed with joy, and the players are dancing and high-fiving and quick speech. And then think of my sports information director at the time has to take me. Now she has to take me. Rose Carter, great woman, has to take me to the press conference. So there's really not a lot of time to do my breathing exercises, right? They're like, all right, slow down, be deliberate, get your thoughts together. I mean, it can be very stressful. We talked about being on a tightrope because you want to say the right things. And of course, it's always about the players. The players win games. I haven't scored since 1994, and it was probably a layup. So the players did a phenomenal job. We hit a ton of threes that game. But as you are, the brand of Penn State basketball, the Penn State brand overall, you really you must be calculated in your delivery and in your messaging to make sure that you're, doing the right things by Penn State and your program.
A lot goes into coaching, certainly not just the practice in the game. A lot goes into it. Coach, I'm sure you've seen the Family Feud before, and this version, Steve Harvey says, we've surveyed 100 people and asked this question. Well, I talked to 100 people and I asked them to describe Coach Patrick Chambers, and words like fiery, passionate, intense came up. And we have some pictures that reinforce those words: fiery, passionate.
Well, that's at a ref. That's not that's at a ref, so that's okay. That's at a ref too.
but Coach, and then they said that you had an intense commitment to help other people. So can Coach Chambers describe Coach Chambers?
My greatest strength is my greatest weakness. And I think it all comes from love. I love that program. I love those players that committed to us. The recruiting cycle for Penn State was a long, long period of time. It took years to get a yes. And when you get those yeses, you earn that yes. And then you get to know not just the players, but their families. And then you just love your staff and their families and anybody who touches that program. So it comes from love and passion for your players to succeed. I think like your coach, we talked before, your coach wanted the best from you. You got a C in a class. He was upset with that C. Not only were you getting a C, you couldn't bring the ball up. Right? Our goal or our vision for you as a young man is we have a vision, and this is what we think you should be, or at least this is the direction we have to get you headed towards. And if we can get you there, and then we're starting to do our job. Jay Wright used to always say, hey, when we develop men, the winds will follow. And I'm a true believer. I'm a true disciple of that mindset. So I knew once we developed men, things were going to happen. They were going to get their degrees, right? They're going to show up at class. They're going to do the extra. They're not going to just do what's required by me. They're going to do more than what's required. They're going to make great decisions socially when I'm not around, when no one's watching. And Penn State's top 5 party school in the nation. So you know how difficult that can be. But we also knew once we kind of checked those boxes and made sure that we developed that type of trusting relationship and authenticity, which you and I have talked about a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
We knew we were going to find success. So where does that passion, where does that intensity, where does that competitive fire come from? The origin is love, because my coaches loved me like your coach. We talked about him. Or Tom Rare in grade school or elementary school, and Dan Doherty at the Episcopal Academy on City Line Avenue, the old Episcopal. Philadelphia Textile, which is now Jefferson, Herb McGee, and then Jay Wright just kept it going by championing me to be a great college head coach. I am forever grateful for those guys. You get into coaching not for money. You get in it to impact young lives and give them different roads or avenues or greener pastures. I look at Mike Watkins, who's the perfect example, Dr. Smith. Comes from one of the most difficult blocks in Philadelphia. He's got a Penn State degree. He's got a Penn State degree. And he's playing overseas right now. So if we didn't have that love and that care and that trust and authenticity, who knows where he'd be right now?
Yeah. Two questions. One, what made you become a coach? You could have gone a lot of different paths, but you chose coaching. So what contributed to that? And number two, what surprised you about being a coach? Not lessons learned. We'll get to lessons learned, but what surprised you? So what inspired you, what contributed to your role as a coach, Boston University, Philadelphia University, Villanova University, of course, Penn State. What inspired you and what surprised you?
So I'm gonna take you back, if that's okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna take you back. I was in a family business, and I'm so grateful for my family. Man, they've been with me during the highs and lows of my lifetime. I'm 50 years young now, and they've been with me every step of the way, and I'm, again, so grateful. So I worked with a family business. Everything was going great, but there was a void missing. There was something inside me that was saying, this is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm.
God was saying, I have something bigger for you. I have something different for you. This is, so when I was 31, if I'll share this story, I hope it's okay. I was 31 and I got stabbed. I got stabbed in the neck. I'll come up to the camera a little bit. So it's in the back and goes all the way down to my aorta, about a centimeter away. So, you know, when they say I've lived a couple of lifetimes, I've had a few chances or a few lives, I'm definitely one of those guys that's had a few lives. You know, I should have been dead on that hotel floor at the Wyndham Franklin Plaza on Vine Street, 16th and Vine. You know what, quite frankly, wrong time, wrong place. Or was it?
Mm.
Or was it? And that's why I'll never play the victim, and I'm never going to point fingers. I truly believe this is what was supposed to happen. This was the challenge or adversity that I was supposed to go through in order to follow my calling. I fought that calling. I had a nice life. I was making good money, right? I lived in the suburbs. I had all that, you know, whatever you think the American dream is, white picket fence. And that's not what he wanted me to do.
Right.
So I get stabbed, and you look at, why me? Why
I was
me?
going to say, go back there. When you got stabbed, what were you thinking, feeling in that moment with the blood pouring? Where were you emotionally?
Put you in the moment. In the moment, you're on the floor bleeding with no teeth.
Mm.
You struggle to get up. You try to defend yourself, but that was probably useless at that time with blood just pouring out. And a part of this story that I don't share as much as I need to, but I'm in the ambulance, and the ambulance, somebody, a part of that team, is like, this guy isn't going to make it. So I'm knocked out. I regain consciousness, and that's what I hear. And then I go back under. And then I'm at, which is now Drexel, in that hospital. It felt like it took them forever to get to me, to take me to the hospital and, you know, and stitch me up and get me back to health and all that good stuff. But it was definitely one of the most traumatic events I've ever been through physically in my entire life. And then to wake up, just bawling, crying. I have no teeth. I had these bandages all over myself. I got dried up blood on my hands. They had to scissor out all my clothes. It was definitely a 911 situation. Mm-hmm. And then when you wake up and you see your family around you, and that's why I know I'm always going to be okay. One, my faith. Two, my family. They're always there. Whenever I fall, they're helping me up. They're the backbone of my life, and I'm so grateful for them. So time, you know, I finally get out of the hospital. It takes a few days, and it was not the best experience in the hospital, sharing a room and feeling bad for the gentleman next to me. But meanwhile, I'm feeling bad for myself. Like, why me? How does this happen to me? Why did I get stabbed? I'm a good guy. I'm a daily mass guy. I'm a Sunday church guy. I'm taking my mom to, you know, lunch or dinner. I'm doing something, right? And as time went by, and you reflect, it was just him. He's like, this is not where I want you anymore. This was nice. You had a nice life, but we need to do this. You need to give back. You need to give back to the community who helped you, the guys who helped you, the coaches who helped you. It's now time for you to give back. So once I was able to forgive, then I could move on, because we all got the excuses, right? We all got a bag of excuses to say why we were stabbed, or why we were in that place at that time, or why we got, let go, or why we got divorced, or whatever. We all have excuses, or we want to point fingers. Well, the bottom line is you got to look at yourself, right? You got to hold yourself accountable, or you got to just say, hey, that door's shut. There's going to be a new door opening. Forgive, and let's start the healing process of moving on so we can write the next chapter. And that was a long year of me not really going out, me not heading. I didn't go down to the city. I didn't go down to the city one time, and really trying to recover and get through the physicality of it. And the mental side of it, seeking counseling, going to see my local priests, as much Bible and positive things that I could read to help me get through that ticker tape. We all have a ticker tape that runs through our mind constantly.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You're not a good person. You were committing sin. You were doing wrong. You were doing this. You were bang, bang, bang. And we all know we have those pockets of time that really, they're dark hours or dark minutes or dark days, depending on how long it lasts for you. And I had some bad days. But again, I go back to my faith. I go back to my family. They helped me along that journey. And that's when I realized what the void was, what he was doing. He was saying, yo, we were about you, Pat Chambers, on this direction. That's not where I wanted you to go. I had to do this because you need to go this way. And then really a year later, I get this opportunity as director of ops at Villanova. Again, the void was basketball. And I coached two incredible young men in Wayne Ellington, who I think just signed another 1-year deal.
Lakers. Where?
There you go. And Gerald Henderson, who had a bad hip, but it's just two incredible young men coaching with Coach Doc. I finally realized what I was supposed to do. And then
Coach, any surprises in that enormous role now as a coach, as a mentor for men? Any surprises?
Coaching is not a 40-hour a week, Monday through Friday job. It's a 24/7, 7 days a week. And they're watching you very closely. So you better walk the walk and talk the talk. I think as far as impacting young lives, getting to know them a little better in any way possible. So when they got on campus, I used to have a safe space in my office, just 2 chairs. There's a great book out there called 2 Chairs, please. If anybody wants to read that, it's short. It's just awesome. It's a parable. 2 chairs and a little table in between, and just sat there and said, look, this space is not for basketball. This space is for life.
Wow.
Space is, how's everything at home? How's your girlfriend? How's school going? Is there anything you need to get off your chest to help you excel in the classroom and be the best you can on the basketball court? And then help you make really, I call them green choices. Help you make green choices, not red choices. So that you must be consistent with on a daily basis. So I think that time, if you can spend as coaches, are there any coaches listening out there? That's where you need to spend most of your time. You all got to where you are, or leaders, you got to where you were because you're really good at what you're doing. For me in basketball, the X's and O's are there. It's about the relationships with your players, your staff, your relationships with your employees. Don't be like the wolf who leads from behind, but spend time as much as you can. Spend time with your people. Spend time with your associates, and not just, I have to do this because I said I was going to do it, or I'm just going to sit here, but I'm not really going to listen. Be an active listener and really take in what he or she is going through at that time. So I think that really, just starting understanding that after 4 or 5 years, it started to dawn on me, like, it's about the players, it's about the staff, it's about the relationships the basketball will come.
When I think about, as I'm listening to you tell your story, again, going back to high school, 75 through 79, went to University City High School, 36 in Fieldwood is no longer there. But our basketball coach, men's basketball coach, Steve Kane, Jewish man, came from Edison. And our high school was like 99% Black African American. And he saved so many lives. He didn't sign up to do eulogies. He didn't sign up to bail people out of jail. He didn't sign up to raise money for coach for some of the players, but he did it and coached as well. And as I hear you talk about the 2 chairs and the space to talk about life, that just sent chills through me, because you didn't sign up for that, but you realize while you're in it, I need to be Coach 2.0. I need to be more than just someone who writes up X's and O's and who coaches a full court press or a zone. It was about life and giving, and that's certainly what you've done. There's a question in the chat room that says, knowing you can relate, what advice would you give to a person dealing with the pressure and stress of getting high results, performing at a high level and winning? So again, you can relate. What advice would you give to a person dealing with the pressure, Penn State, Big Ten basketball, and stress of getting high results, performing at a high level and having to win?
You know, I put a lot of thought and reflection into this over my last year on my sabbatical. I'm calling it a sabbatical. And as I reflected, I become more mindful and really tried to slow down. And what are some of the things that I need to improve on? What are some of the things that hurt me in my leadership or coaching or dealing on a day-to-day basis, dealings with, on the operations side? And I think number one is you have to get, and you're going to think this is crazy, you have to get sleep. You are not going to make very good solution-driven type decisions in the pressure cooker if you're not clear-headed. If you're not clear-headed, you're going to slip up and make a mistake. So 1 is sleep. 2, I became fascinated with breathing. I am a shallow breather. There's a company called Tiger Neuroscience that I partnered with. I put a little clip on my ear. Everybody has an app now, right? Health monitor. And I would breathe from anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, some days 30, and breathe. And this was my last couple of years at Penn State. I started to breathe and focus on that breathing. When I was getting oxygen all the way to my diaphragm and really bring it out, it slowed me down so I could really process before verbalizing. Sure. And I thought that was really important. So for an example, I'm in a game, bad call. Lamar gets a 3rd foul, shocker, right? Let's say it's at the Palestra. Penn State, Iowa at the Palestra, if fans out there remember this game. Probably one of the greatest games in the history of college basketball, definitely in the Big Ten, and has to be up there in the top 3, 4 to ever be played at the Palestra. This was an incredible game. It was so hot. It was awesome. And by the way, it was in January. It was so hot in the gym. That's on the Palestra.
33rd Street.
It's awesome. And so, the refs are not call, bad call on Lamar. I am losing it. Franny McCaffrey, who went to Penn, who's a Philly.
Yes.
On the other side. There's so much at stake here. There's so much at stake. So it was so critical that, I was taking a lead. They were about to go on a run. I called timeout. If old Pat Chambers would have probably ran at the ref or stormed at him or walked toward him. New who really bought into the breathing, walked to the baseline away from the official. And I did about 15, this is no joke, 15 seconds of breathing, went to the baseline, took a left along the baseline, kept the breathing going, lost that thought of anger and emotion, because that would have hurt my team.
Sure.
So then I huddle quickly up with my staff. We get what we have to do together, back in the huddle. And I truly believe that moment swings everything, not just a timeout, but my confidence going into the huddle when they're up 5 now. And I'm calm. So think about that. So the person who's asking that question, think about that. So sleep, breathing, critical to your success. And then I really believe I had an awesome staff, the people around you. I did not fear. I was vulnerable. Even though I was the head coach, I was vulnerable. I told these guys, I don't know it all. And if during the process of a game, if things are getting a little crazy and I'm trying to manage everything, it's okay to throw your 2 cents in there. It's okay to give me a solution. It's okay. It's all how you do it, but it's okay. I want to hear it. And I feel like being a little bit vulnerable, humility is critical. It's a part of my pillars. If you can be in that space and actually hear the feedback, man, I think you can take these tightrope situations or high stress level situations and excel while being in the fire.
I wish I was in the locker room on the court when you were coaching. Man, I'm ready to put my sneaks on right now. So you leave Villanova. You're working side by side with Jay Wright. You land at Penn State. Again, football university, linebacker you. And things began to change. They changed so much that this occurred. Let's take a look. NIT championship. We have a clip. Let's take a look.
You told me after the semifinals it's difficult for a coach to ever be completely satisfied. You cut down that net about 10 seconds ago. Are you satisfied?
We were the best team by the end of the year. We were the best team that we could be. And that's all I could ask for. I always say we got to finish strong and be the best. And we were the best team we could be. Hence, I cut down a net, which is awesome. It just says so much about our players, our staff, our program, everybody connected. Do you see this crowd? Do you see these students? We're just climbing. That was all about, climbing.
What did you think of the atmosphere here tonight?
I thought it was unbelievable. Our fans came out, bus loads. They were crazy. As you can hear them, they're still here singing. I know everybody says it's a football school. As long as we keep winning, maybe we can turn it into a little bit of a basketball school.
You've credited Shep Gardner so much for being the pipeline and opening the floodgates for people to come to Penn State to end his career with a championship. What does it mean?
He left a huge legacy. His imprint, his fingerprints are all over this program. He went out a winner. And you know what? He didn't have to choose us. He didn't have to choose us, and he did. He was a trailblazer. He believed in us. He had the vision, and he comes out, and we're cutting down nets because of his and his leadership.
What was it about the identity of this group that got it done last year and now sets the tone for next season?
I just think they bought in as much as they could. We're really connected. We really spent a lot of time together. There was a lot of love. I know that's funny to say, and guys don't want to say that, but there was genuine love and care for one another.
Coach, thanks so much and congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
Big Ten Network, Madison Square Garden. You cut down the net. NIT champions. Coach, tell us about that.
Dr. Smith, I don't know if people really truly understand how difficult it is, number one, just to win in the Big Ten, and number two, to win a championship in the NIT. We felt we deserved to play in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I truly believe we were a second weekend team that year. However, we didn't make it. For whatever reason, we didn't make it. So to get our staff, most importantly, our players geared up or pumped up to play in the NIT, when I looked around our film room, and I'm saying, wow, I don't know how we're going to do this. You could see the disappointment, the rejection from not getting into the NCAA tournament that year. And my heart went out to them. So you look at the players, you say, come on, we get one last chance to do this. We got these 5 or 6 games, and let's just do it for each other. And you end up playing Temple first round, and it was the hardest game I've ever coached in. It was a slugfest. It was probably in the low 60s, high 50s. No one could make a shot. Defense was intense. It was basically 2 Philly teams going at it.
Yeah.
Right, Brandon Dunphy's on one side, who I've known for forever, and you know, we're on the other side with all Roman Catholic players and Philly players and the surrounding area, and that's what they have, and it was just insanity. But to be able to gut that out and persevere in that moment, I think that propelled us. Like, hey, let's do this, because we do love each other, we do care about each other, and we do trust each other. If we could do those things, you can go in and battle the mind, battle what everybody, the optics, what everybody's saying on the outside, and go cut down some nets. So credit goes absolutely to the players and the staff for what they did and what they accomplished. And think about this too, Doc. We did it at Madison Square Garden on the world's most famous. Like I just talked about the Plestra. I'm talking about the MSG now. I mean, to be able to cut down those nets, you know, in the moment, and this is what I hate, and I'll say that, I hate it. We don't cherish the wins. We don't cherish the victories. We don't cherish the small successes anymore, because you're just relieved. You're relieved. Oh, you get to live another day, or I can get another contract for another year. Hey, I survived. I was on the hot seat. I survived another year. You didn't enjoy it. But as I'm watching that, again, I'm like overwhelmed with, I have happy, joyful tears in my eyes, because I was like, wow, that was an amazing thing. Not many people get to live out that dream. Not many people get to cut down a net. And if you ask coaches out there, just to be able to do that, that's an impressive feat, because your team sometimes doesn't want to play in the NIT.
I'm 60 years old, 60 years young now, and on December the 6th, 1981, Widener University beat the University of Dayton in the Division III National Championship. I still wear this ring, and I still savor that 40 years, Division III, not D1, D2, Division III. NIT, NCAA, it doesn't matter, you won. You won. Now, Coach, unfortunately, your tenure at Penn State ended abruptly. Lessons learned? What did you learn from that experience?
I'm, again, I know I might be redundant here, but I am so grateful for that experience to have coached at Penn State in the Big Ten against some of the most amazing coaches in the world. And most importantly, I was able to coach some of the best players in the country. Tony Carr, Lamar Stevens, Tim Frazier, Josh Reeves, just to name a few. Jamari Wheeler, some guys are still playing. Myrene Jones, Johnny Hara. I mean, just amazing human beings, amazing young men who are going to be super successful in life. And it's unfortunate it did end abruptly. I had more to give, but then I gave a speech a couple months ago. It was my first speech in a long time at St. Norbert's here in Paoli. And I just said, sometimes the brook runs dry and it's time to depart, much like what happened to me when I was 31. You know, I was ready to go. I was really, you know, I felt like the program was in a great place. We're a lock for the NCAA tournament. We're a 5th seed. And I just felt like God was again telling me, hey, it's time to leave. It's time to go somewhere else. Like Elijah, hey, now you got to go. We're going to walk 1,000,000 miles to the widow. This brook has run dry. And I've learned so much from those experiences. I'll be a better coach today because of that experience than I was then, because I've learned so many valuable lessons upon reflection of how to handle certain things, and the education that I put myself through over the last few years. You know, I think I've done a great job with Black history. to have a better understanding. No, I don't know what it is to walk in your shoes, Dr. Smith. I don't. But I know a lot more than I did 5 years ago. I know a lot more with everything that's going on now. I think I would be a better coach. I'm more equipped today than I was a couple years ago.
Awesome. Thank you. From the chat room, it says, how do you deal and bounce back from any type of gut-wrenching loss that may affect your career and also your personal life? Oh, gut-wrenching, a loss, or maybe a bad play, or how do you bounce back? Because we tend to harbor, as a former defensive back in football, we were always taught, forget the last play, focus on this play. Sounds easy, but you have to. So how about you, Coach? Gut-wrenching losses.
If it's okay, I'm gonna discuss a loss as far as basketball is concerned, okay? And then I'd like to second with life, a post-traumatic event, the stabbing, the departing Penn State. So I'm going to answer it twice. So having a tough loss, and there was many where we were winning and ended up, Old Miss rings a bell at the Barclays. You're up 18 with 12 minutes to go and you lose the game. That was gut-wrenching. Okay, as far as a head coach, as far as a basketball, what could I have done better? I never blame the players, never, because I always feel like I could have done. You got to look yourself in the mirror. That's number one. What could have I done better as a head coach, as the leader? And then you really dive into the film and try to pick and choose. Okay, I could have done this. I could have timed out here. I could have run this play. So really, it starts with you. But once you do that, and once you learn from that failure. Because we always say, right, you learn so much from failure and so much from setbacks. So you can't waste a good setback. You can't waste a good failure. So learn from it. So that day, now we only have one day in between and we play Syracuse. This is over Thanksgiving and Jimmy Boeheim.
Jimmy B.
And we don't have time. We don't have time to bring that bag of problems or negativity or loss to the next day, to the next game. If we do that, well, that one game lost us 2 games. We compounded the problem. So I'm a big fan of, we're going to learn from it. It's in the past. We're done. We're moving on. So that's what we did. And that's what I did. And then you're able to beat Syracuse by 20.
You beat that 2-3 zone, huh?
We crushed it. Great game planning by the staff. So obviously the players made great shots. So I'm serious about that. You learn from it, but then you got to move on, because if you keep bringing it to the next day and the next day, you're just going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be burned out, and you're going to be a shell of yourself. And they're going to notice that. I would like to, I think if people said that worked at Penn State, especially in my wing, you would never know. If you ask my office manager, Wendy Miller, right now, you wouldn't know if we won or lost the night before, because we came in with consistent attitude and we're like, all right, back, let's go, baby. Time to get better. How do we get better today?
Coach, I'm putting my sneakers on.
Got those Chuck Taylors up.
If your sneaker is slip and slide, get the one with the star on the side.
So I want to, the second part of that question is traumatic events. Traumatic. Like, really, look, we're in a pandemic. There's so much going on in our society right now. There's times where we're going to be depressed. There's times that we're going to be stressed. There's times where we don't know what we're doing, what direction. We need Google Maps to help us out. And I think that's the time where you have to rely on your faith. The great Eustace Meadus said to me, you got to arm up. Adoration, rosary, mass. Amen, brother. Amen. And that's what I did. So I dove into my faith from the time that I left, the time I got stabbed, the time that I left Penn State. And then I surrounded myself with my family who were genuine and authentic, who love me no matter who I am, because basketball doesn't define me. That's what I did. That's what I did. That's not the human being. It's not the Christian, right? So I think that's really important. So for me, it was my faith. My second thing is my family. I would tell you to exercise. And as you heard earlier, Dr. Smith, the breathing thing has been amazing. And if you can get time by yourself, 30 minutes by yourself, and really reflect in a special area. I live right near Ridley Creek Park right now. I'm walking through the park and just taking everything in and noticing things I haven't noticed in 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
20 years.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be just a quick snapshot on the worldly view of traumatic events.
Coach, you were talking about spending more time with your family. I was going to save this picture to later on, but I want to show it right now. You talk about your family. You talk about your children, your wife, Courtney, Grace, Ryan, Caitlin, and Patrick. Talk to us about your family and the impact that coaching has on a family.
Wow, you've done your homework, Dr. James. That picture right there was in Florida, and man, I am so grateful for my wife. Again, a strong woman with incredible leadership skills and takes care of our family. But you need a great partner behind every great man. I know there's a great partner, and she really is the CEO. She was at Penn State, and I was able to bounce things off her before she left her career. She was super successful in helping me and guiding me during my tenure as a head coach, I'll say. And then she's an incredible, compassionate, loving mother who takes care of our children. And the one thing, and I may have shared this in that one meeting that we had, Dr. James, was, I needed balance in my life. And she kept trying to remind me of that. And I was hell bent on telling the naysayers that they're wrong. Penn State can be a basketball school. We can succeed at Penn State. We can do this. So, we use the term climbing, and the climb never ended. And it truly never ended for me or my staff, because we were always trying to reach that pinnacle of success. And in turn, that may have hurt. Was I burned out? Was I tired? Was I not thinking clearly? Was I not the best version of Pat Chambers? Maybe, you need that balance. The Lord says that the Sabbath, you better, take the Sabbath off. Well, I didn't. And that's a great time to spend with family, great time to go to their events, go to their choir events, or go to their games or whatever events that they have. And that was a strong reflect after, again, leaving. As you reflect, you're like, wow, I could still be a great coach and still be a great CEO and still be a great leader, especially with technology today, right? Look at what we're doing. You can still get it all done and be an awesome father. My wife is loving this co-parenting. My kids are loving me being around, and I am enjoying it. I am loving going to my son's football practice right now, my daughter's volleyball practice. It's a whole new world that I'm embracing. So I'm forever grateful for this time. And I keep saying to my wife, I don't know if I'm always going to have this time, or I don't know what God is in store for the next chapter, but this is pretty fantastic that I'm able to do this right now.
Pretty fantastic. Coach, you talk a lot about faith. Did faith play a role in your pillars of excellence? And tell us a little bit about your pillars of excellence.
Number one. It's number one, Dr. Smith, on my pillars of excellence. It took me, the pillars of excellence just didn't pop in my head one day. It was years and years, specifically with one of my brothers, Tim. We would go back and forth and talk about our faith. Again, I highly recommend, if you don't have a small group to be able to talk about your faith and life, I would get in a small group, whether you're Catholic, not Catholic, Christian. If you have faith and you're a Christian, get in a small group. And so we would go back and forth, and we went back and forth for years. And the great Navy SEALs or the Marines, they always say three things. And I think we all teach that in the corporate world too. Three things. People are going to think three things. Well, I said I disagree, and this is why I disagree. I think kids today need five things, and something that holds it all up. So faith is number one. Faith is number one, and it's going to be our foundation. I gave a talk. I tried to stand on a basketball, and guess what? I can't stand on a basketball for longer than 1 or 2 seconds. Even if I was in my prime, I don't know how long I could do it for. Only the guys in the circus can do that stuff. So it's unstable. So that's not your foundation. Basketball is not my foundation. But then I brought out the Bible and I said, look, this is my foundation. This is the rock on which I stand on. So that's your number one pillar right there. Because when in doubt, when things are going not the way you want them to, and it's unexpected, that's the one thing you know that you can rely on. Like Job, right? Job, that's the one thing you can rely on. So that was one. Two is accountability. And people say, oh, you're old school. Is old school a bad word now? Is that a bad word?
No.
Like, you don't want me to hold you accountable so you can be super successful and be an NBA player or make money overseas or be a great CEO or entrepreneur and make an impact on your community? I don't get that. Like accountability, I want to still be held accountable, right? I still want someone to hold me accountable for what I'm doing. And I appreciate that. So accountability was number two. Number three, we talked about is passion. It's a great word for me. Look, I love life. I have a second chance at life. Not many people get a second chance. Not many people get a do-over. Not many people get a mulligan. Right? And then I lived a dream. My dream isn't over yet. My dream's not over, but I lived a dream. I wanted to coach in the Big Ten. I wanted to coach at Penn State. I wanted to coach at the highest level. But I still have more to do to fulfill some of those dreams. So passion to me, you got to love what you do. Being around you, I know you love what you do. You love speaking. You love impacting lives. You love helping people along their journey. It's awesome.
Coach, before you move to 4, and thank you very much. Another way to consider passion is spelled Passion, passion, but it stands for pass I on. Pass me on, passion.
I love it. And I've never heard that. So I'm going to, if it's okay, I'm going to
steal it. It's yours. What's number 4?
We're always stealing stuff. So, right? So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Humility. You know, I wasn't the guy who said I need the table first at the popular restaurant in town. I need to be sitting on first row at the football games or at Russ Rose's volleyball games. It was, you know, whatever. You know, I'm cool with it. I don't need that type of recognition. So when I walked through campus, you know, I was just, hey, how's everybody doing? Just, I wanted to be one of the guys, one of the people in your community, your neighbor. I wanted to be a friend. And I think having that type of humility and passing that down to my players, because they're blessed, right? They get a scholarship to Penn State. They get to play in the Big Ten. They get a world-class education. I mean, let's be humble and let's go give back. So let's go to the schools and read. Let's go give them water ice when they don't have air conditioning. Let's go help them in some capacity and fix up a park. So I think humility is an important ingredient to success. And then there's something I'm doing on my social account right now. It's called gratitude.
Yes, the gratitude tour.
I am so thankful for the experiences that I've had up until this point. Grateful for Penn State and Boston U and Villanova and all the great coaches that have helped me. Grateful for all the players that allowed me to coach them and help them develop as men on and off the floor. I mean, it's just been an incredible tour that I've been on that I didn't even know I was going to do it. It just kind of, I was looking through my photos one day and I'm like, man, I am so blessed.
Yes.
The people that I've been able to spend time with.
Yes.
That have helped me. So, because I'm all about growth, right? We're all about growth and learning. Just because I'm 50 doesn't mean I stop learning.
Sure.
Like, that's important. So gratitude. And then I have this foundation called attitude. And it's, look, I wake up every day. I have a choice. Good mood, bad mood. Oh, my back hurts today. My back doesn't hurt today. I slept horrible. Whatever it may be in the work world, it's, oh, my boss yelled at me today, or I didn't get the account today. Well, is that going to ruin your whole day?
We let it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it can. And then you spiral, and that spiral just ruined your day, and it might ruin your week, and it could ruin your month.
Yes.
Why are we allowing that to happen? We're in control of our attitude. Not your boss, not another leader, not the whoever. You're in control of that. So choose wisely. choose wisely. So they're my pillars, and we came up with that, and I really believe that's a map for success for our young generation out there.
Coach, did you share those pillars when you were recruiting, bringing people into the Penn State family or the Boston U family, or did you share it with your recruits?
I did. At Villanova, we were founded on attitude. BU, I kept it going. It was all about attitude. When I landed at Penn State, I felt like we needed a little bit more to separate ourselves, and then to really be clear on what we expected of our student athletes and our staff, for that matter, and myself. So we had a huge board in the locker room. We have it in the conference room. I printed out laminated pillars of excellence and had it on everybody's desk. And then over the last couple of years, I put a video to it. About faith and accountability, and had some of the great coaches in there, Martin Luther King in there, Tom Brady's in there, to share too, because there's some visual learners out there, right? So we have visual learners. How else can we impact these young lives? Well, let's create a video to go along with these pillars of excellence.
And as a result, what can happen is what happens during National Signing Days. And we have a quick clip of you during National Signing Days at Penn State. Let's take a look.
Great to see you. I'm doing awesome. Good. It's an incredible event. So this is my first time here.
For real?
Typically we're on the road or we have a game or something's going on, so it never permits me to attend this event. And it's nothing like our event, our signing day. And I always wondered where it was located. I thought it was in James's office when I used to watch the videos later on that day or the next day. But this is right on the 50-yard line here.
I mean, there's a lot of people crammed in here. I just got done saying that. I don't think people realize how many people are in here, the cool setup. What's your overall thoughts so far?
Yeah, it's amazing. The setup's great. Obviously, give props to PJ Mullen, of course, for his music, his design, his artistic creativity. There's a lot of people here when the coffee's almost out. The cream is definitely out.
And we're like, what, 7:20 a.m.?
Yeah, we just started. We just kicked this thing off, so.
All right, so obviously your program is rolling. You're ranked in the AP Top 25 for the first time in quite some time. But what was the reaction from your squad when you realized that you were ranked in the AP Top 25?
So they were fired up. They're excited. I mean, it's been the first time in 2 decades. I'm gonna put it real clear for you, okay? Mike Watkins was 6 months old. Woo! So these guys most of them weren't even born yet when Penn State was last ranked by the AP.
That's wild.
That's crazy, right? Now, however, so enjoy it. It was fun. I think it's great for the staff. It's great for the players. Great for our fans and the students and our alums. That's awesome. It's awesome. But we're going to treat it like a game. Hey, next play, next game, we have to move on. But a lot of excitement, obviously, going into the next game, which is Friday night.
So your message.
So there's excitement. You bring in more people to the family. Next game, though, we can't rest on our laurels. Thoughts, Coach?
I look back at that video and I say it was such an event too, and it was incredible to be a part of, but to enjoy it a little bit more. Enjoy the top 25 ranking. Enjoy I said it earlier. Enjoy these little successes, these little victories. It's okay to enjoy them for a short period of time and then get back to work. But I think that was the one thing, if I can, as loud as I can scream here on this interview, I would say enjoy your family, enjoy the small successes. Small successes lead to big successes. If you happen to stub your toe, become solution driven. It's always going to work itself out. You didn't get that account for a reason, and it's okay, especially if you put the work into it. Yeah. So I look at that and say, I'm proud that we got Penn State to actually a top 10 ranking. And that was very hard to do, but I wish I enjoyed it a little bit more. But the players that went there, the families that committed to us and stuck with us through thick and thin, they deserve a lot of the credit.
Coach, real quick, we're winding down. A couple more thoughts in the chat room. Being a head coach, what advice would you give to someone to effectively lead a staff, an organization, or any team striving for a goal? So we're taking it to the workplace.
Yeah, I treated this like I was a Fortune 500 company. I really did. I was blessed to have 10 years in the business world. So my skill set was a little different from a normal coach. Sometimes coaches come up through the ranks, right? GA, director of ops, assistant, and then they become coaches. Well, I was actually in the real world first. I call it the real world because that's Fantasyland, the business world. So I would meet often, and they were very efficient. I would meet with my immediate staff often about recruiting, practice planning, but they have to be efficient. I never wanted to do it on Monday either. I thought Monday was really a day to kind of, all right, let's regroup. Let's make sure we get everything together. Tuesday's a great day to kind of put it together, bring a small group, just the assistants and the DOBO, director of operations. We're going to bring you together. How we doing? How things looking? What is the recruiting schedule? What's the player schedule? What's the academic schedule? Things of that nature. What do I have to do as far as charity, speeches, events, outside basketball, practice planning? So think about everything I just said. I didn't even tell you all of it.
Yes.
On time. And then I'd bring everybody together on Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, but mostly Wednesday. I'd provide them lunch, and hey, take ownership of your area. And I would have an agenda. You better have an agenda because you need to follow something. You can't just be like, hey, how's everybody doing? All right, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? That's not a very productive meeting. So we had an agenda. We go around the room, everybody take ownership of their area, provide us with information. We're going to provide you with information so we can work with our players to the best of their ability. So they're at a level 5. They are rolling. And then typically I open up the meeting with something funny. Jim Gaffigan had a couple of humorous things about, homes and being, workplace, whatever. So I would always do something different. I threw Joel Osteen up there one time, got a powerful message, Rick Warren one time. So I wasn't afraid to kind of think outside the box and bring in, something a little different to spice it up, a little bit of laughter, wanted to keep the laughter going, wanted to keep the positive attitude going. We would do some different things. PJ Mullen, I just mentioned him on that video with Mitch. And I would ask him to put together some, a holiday thing and put our faces on them.
I've seen those.
You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid, leaders, to kind of just step outside your comfort zone, bring a little joy. There's nothing like the power of laughter. And guess what? Typically when I did that, our meetings were so efficient, so on time, and so productive because that's what it was. I didn't want a 5-hour meeting. Nobody's getting anything done in 5 hours.
No. Same place in the workplace today. Coach, if people want to reach you, where can they go? Email,
Twitter. Go to
LinkedIn, Twitter.
Yeah, LinkedIn and Twitter is at Coach_Chambers. I've been doing a great thing with Gratitude Tour. I'll be putting some good things, some fun opportunities coming up in the next 10 days. That should be coming out here. So I'm so grateful for you to give me this platform.
No problem. Coach Penny says, wonderful guest, someone who has hit some bumps in the road venture and is walking forward with self-respect and humility. A wonderful guest to hear. Great job. Good jolt for the week. Coach, we're winding down. We typically end our shows with our guests sharing a 30 to 60-second keynote presentation. And I very seldom direct them where to go, but I'm going to throw a direction out there for you, and that is, what has the game of basketball meant to you? Tie that into your keynote, your encouragement for the folks who are watching and listening.
It's been
mic check. It's ready.
Yeah,
it's ready.
It's been such a love affair. I'm the youngest of 12 from Delaware County, and growing up we weren't the perfect Leave It to Beaver family, right? We were not the perfect family by any stretch. So to be able to live in Delco and come out of Delco, and so many people helped me along my way and my journey to success, to keep my faith, family. And it's so simple, Dr. Smith. It's so simple. And if we can keep it simple and not complicate things, man, things are so complicated right now and so complex. Keep it simple. Faith, family, genuine love, care about one another, make good decisions, make green choices, have an awesome attitude. If you see someone struggling, if you can open a door, if you can pick up some trash, if you can do something to make an impact on this country today, show a slice of humility and do it. Help somebody out. And I'm going to tell you, selfishly, you're going to feel so much better that you did. You're going to be able to put your head on the pillow at night and say, you know what? I won the day. I won the day today because I know I served. I was a giver today. And if we can do that, we're going to have a lot of good days together.
Mic drop, mic drop, mic drop. Win the day. Now, today's not over. You still have an opportunity to win today. Coach Pat Chambers, wow. As usual, doing what you do. Wisdom, pearls, humility, authenticity, vulnerability. We thank you for joining us on the Dr. James Show. And for everyone else, don't forget, like I always say, you've just been Gym-Pacted. We'll see you next week.